Hi everybody, I'm Beebs Kelley. Welcome back to another fashion edition. Today I wanted to look at more looks from the Oscars red carpet. Let's begin with Odessa Azion's Valentino Spring 2026 Couture. I think this is a little bit messy and not elevated enough for the Oscars, honestly. It's just frumpy looking, it's messy looking, it's not elevated enough. And what about it looks messy is the fit. It's sloppy. So what are you doing wearing that to the Oscars? I'm confused. Especially when you look at, like, for example, Chase Infinity, Anne Hathaway, Mikey Madison. These are really, really nice, fancy gowns, just beautiful. And you show up in this next to these ladies, Rose Byrne. I mean, what are you doing? Not like a ball gown or like an elevated suit piece, something like that that just feels more elevated, I feel like is mandatory. This is just a mess. Renate is wearing custom Louis Vuitton. It's pretty, but it's very simple. It's not fitting her well across the bust line here. You can see it looks like it's falling down. This resembles like a towel wrapped around, not a beautiful gown, especially with the overly simplistic hair and a lack of necklace. I feel like this is a bit of a miss. Jennifer Goodwin's dress is actually quite nice, but this collar necklace is really heavy. I don't care for that. It's just very, very heavy for this dress in general. And for her frame, it looks a little too much. I think this would have been a lot more successful without a necklace or something more delicate and some statement earrings. In fact, I would say best styling approach here would have been statement earrings, no necklace, because there's this volume here. So we don't need something competing with it like this choker necklace. I like the idea of a choker. Obviously, something that was like a pendant wouldn't have worked, but it needed to be delicate or not there at all. Because the volume is here and the dress has plenty of interest, we don't need something up here to compete, especially something chunky. But the dress I love. The diagonal nature of this beautiful, sheer, light fabric provides movement that is flattering to her figure. It's slimming. Her waist looks well defined, and the volume here at the bust just enhances her figure. I love everything about this. I think it's a beautiful dress. Ethan Hawke's Prada suit is just fine. The almost duster length jacket might be shortening him just a tad. I feel like it would work better on somebody a little taller. I quite like Mia Goth's Dior dress here. It's very pretty. I love all the texture here, but I wish she had done a little something different with her hair because it just has this spaghetti strap situation here. I think the hair just down and simple didn't elevate it enough. I think an updo or something like maybe half up to give it a little bit more personality. Pedro Pascal in Chanel looks quite nice. I do think maybe something could have been done to give it a little bit more pizzazz, but I understand with the embellishment on the shirt, a jacket or a vest didn't really vibe. So it was a little tricky. Maybe not the best choice for the Oscars, but maybe it was a bit of a shout out back to when he had to skip the jacket because he was in a sling because he had hurt his shoulder. Maybe that's why? I don't know. I feel like a suit jacket should be required for the Oscars because if the Oscars are supposed to be like the best, because if this is supposed to be Hollywood's biggest night, then I think ball gowns, three-piece suits should kind of be the standard. Chloe Zhao's Gabriella Hearst piece is very artistic. A big statement design here with the veil and the sleeves and the texture. This level of shine is quite interesting, but I would prefer this at a venue like the Met Gala, not the Oscars. Again, it seems a little too theatrical for the Oscars, in my opinion. I'm not a fan of this Celine dress on Kirsten Dunst. The straight, boxy panel here at the neckline is just awkward and too aggressive. It literally looks like a piece of paper. And then these tiers starting at an empire length, just height, just right beneath the bust, is not the most flattering placement for these tiers. Like, she can pull it off with her figure, but it still creates a little bit of an awkward proportion. Wearing vintage John Galliano, we have Ariana Greenblatt. I think it looks a little frumpy along the torso, largely because of that fabric bunching, this billowing out above the skirt. If the top was constructed differently, I think it would be a great success. But with this particular construction, it looks frumpy and unintentional. Damson Idris is wearing Prada. I think this is just okay. It's honestly coming across a little bit messy because of the shine of the fabric. It's not coming off as polished as I think intended, unfortunately. It is tricky designing an outfit or styling an outfit that's going to photograph well in this specific sort of a setting. At the same time, it's like this, as I said, the biggest event on an actor's calendar is probably the Oscars in terms of their outfit, the fashion, the photographs of the evening. This a monumental occasion. If you win or your film wins, then you're up on stage. Like it's a big deal in an actor's career. So I feel like it's a type of moment where fabric choice and things like that have less wiggle room. There's less room to excuse those types of mistakes. Regina Hall is another example of a dress that just didn't land. This diagonal seam, I like the diagonal lines, that's fine. It's always rather flattering, slimming, enhances the feminine curve to have diagonal lines. But as you can see, this seam from this gold to the black here along her waist looks cheaply done. And the volume along the shoulder line is almost comical. It's so large and floating. It's too heavy and it's eating up her figure too much. So this was overwhelming and not as flattering. I also dislike this type of gold fabric, especially on camera. I feel like it comes across as cheap. Heidi Klum is wearing chrome hearts. I think it's just okay. It's not my favorite, but it's definitely not as bad as her after party look. Oh, that was horrible. Zoe Saldana is wearing Saint Laurent and it is stunning. This is so beautiful. It's so perfect for her. It could have done with a tiny bit more volume in the skirt to balance her shoulder line, but honestly, this is so well fitted, so well done, so gorgeous. I love the hair and makeup. The styling for this is great. The jewelry might feel a tiny bit out of place, like it's not really tied into anything in the dress. I feel like it doesn't vibe with the dress perfectly, but overall, this is a beautiful look and beautifully done and very well worn. She looks stunning. Bruna is wearing custom Gucci. I think this is very pretty. The only complaint is that it looks like it's falling down. Designers need to stop with this demi-cup for strapless dresses. They've been doing these little demi cups that chop the boob in half. And not only does it look like it's falling down, so any woman who's ever worn a strapless dress is going to immediately get the instinct to, oh girl, pull it up. But also it makes the bust look smaller. So I don't understand the appeal personally to a demi cup that's going to be less comfortable, fall down easier, squash your boobs, and make your bust look smaller, which throws off your proportions. But the color and the rest of the fit, very pretty. Ava DuVernay is wearing custom Louis Vuitton, and this is very beautiful. I love this. This is really nice. This is volume done right, because as you can see around the bust, it's perfectly fitted, and her waistline is defined here and visible here. So the volume over the sleeves is not overwhelming the look because we can still see the bust there and see her figure there. When volume covers up the bust, it tends to look overwhelming like it did with Regina Hall, whereas here it's the right type of volume to be incorporated. And overall, she just looks stunning. Perfect hair, makeup, and jewelry here. The hair specifically kind of helps balance the volume, because if she had done like a super tight, sleek hair, then the volume might have looked a little too dramatic. So I really think this was expert styling. Beautiful, beautiful. And as you can see too, it's perfectly done here. We have no disruptions to the seams or anything like that. It looks like it's fitting perfectly. And because those sleeves come up at an angle, it's also combating any sort of appearance that the dress is falling down. Love it. Very well done. This Louis Vuitton dress on Alana Haim, I don't like. This is very shapeless. It's widening her. Because the dress is darker against her lighter skin, It's making the side panels that are exposed look more wide and more boxy than they really are. So this is just not a flattering look. I can't imagine this being flattering on literally anybody unless you have like a super dramatic hourglass figure, maybe. But in general, I don't think this is a very flattering design for a woman. Mei Hong's vintage Roberto Cavalli is beautiful. This is really, really pretty, very intricate, lots of ruffles, very well done, very well worn. It's definitely a statement piece, but executed very well. Carrie Condon's dress is very pretty, but I don't feel like it's fitting her bust line well at all. As you can see, it's floating. So that's just never going to work because it makes it look like it's too big for your bust, like it doesn't fit your torso. It looks like it's falling down. If it just fitted against and was flush against the bust line, this would be beautiful. As is, it just looks too big. It looks like it doesn't fit her. The rest of it's pretty though. I like her hair, her makeup. Inga is wearing Loewe. The texture here is a little too heavy. I think it's accentuating her shoulder line and it's making her look a little bit more boxy. Just too heavy, that texture there. Custom Ami Paris on Jeremy Pope looks very nice. The trousers have a tiny bit more room than I personally prefer, but it's not full flare, wide leg that's super dramatic and shortening, so he's getting away with it. Jamie Lawson is also wearing Loewe. I like her choice of hairstyle. It kind of echoes the fringe of the dress, and her makeup is stunning. But the dress itself looks a little bit overwhelming to her figure. This peplum looks ill-placed for her, so it's adding a lot of weight to her lower abdomen and hip line that's not as flattering because it doesn't have enough definition of her waist and enough room for her waist to show up for it to still look flattering for her. Lola Kirk's piece here looks messy to me. The layering is just coming off as messy. I don't like that at all. Way too messy. Danielle Brooks' champagne dress is also way too messy. As you can see, it's almost too tight. It's wrinkling and bunching at the elbows and throughout the thigh and throughout the waist. It's squashing her boobs. It looks too tight in the sleeves and shoulder. The hair should have been up for this. There is a lot happening here and it just doesn't fit quite right, unfortunately. That's too bad. Alicia Silverstone is just looking perpetually uncomfortable in every outfit I've seen her in. She's wearing Christian Siriano. I think it's an okay silhouette, but this shape of gathering that makes her hip line and legs look so much smaller than her exposed, broader shoulders is always going to result in her looking bigger and more frumpy than she is. So it's just not flattering, especially with what's happening with the bust line here. It's too bad. She's been doing a lot of red carpets lately and none of them are hitting. Barbie's Gap Studio by Zac Posen dress is pretty. I love the color and the corseted bodice situation is very, very beautiful. I don't like this center exposed underskirt type vibe as much. It's kind of catching the eye and making the skirt look really, really heavy. But overall, I think it was an okay attempt. I'll be back with more Oscars looks next time. Thank you for joining me today. Leave your favorites in the comments and I'll see you next time. Have a happy day, everybody. Bye.